Support for WBFO and What's Next comes from our members and from Health Foundation for Western and Central New York, where racial and socioeconomic health equity are prioritized. Learn more about building healthier neighborhoods at hfwcny.org.
From Buffalo Toronto Public Media, this is What's Next, an hour dedicated to amplifying the voices of marginalized and underrepresented communities across Western New York and Southern Ontario.
We cannot erase, we cannot reform, we cannot make things better if we're uncomfortable having tough conversations,
Absolutely.
if we're uncomfortable talking about race.
What's Next carries forward our mission to engage in meaningful conversations about race, equity, and the shared concerns that deeply affect Buffalo's East Side and beyond.
Don't stop. Make those families part of your life. Their lives are part of yours. Don't stop.
Together, we dive into the real issues, striving for understanding, connection, and change.
In the suburban area, everywhere, we must work and teach our children.
Good morning. We are here with Pastor Dwayne Jones from Mount Aaron Baptist Church on Genesee Street, leader in the East Side and actually all of Buffalo community. So Pastor Jones, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Talk to me about the East Side of Buffalo, the attitude, the feeling there, how it has changed because of what happened on 5/14.
The East Side of Buffalo is actually going through a transformation. We had a tragedy, and out of that tragedy, it have actually unified the East Side. The East Side is now just not African Americans, but we have many different denominations that resides on the East Side of Buffalo now. And the people have been inspired to bring anew to the East Side. What I mean by anew, we are laying out a plan to revitalize the East Side. There are many different avenues that different organizations are approaching. My avenue, I do more in faith-based housing, but there are some that's doing coffee shops, more commercial development. There's another supermarket we're trying to get in that geographical area. We are putting more infrastructure into the East Side, as in town housing, affordable housing, market rate housing. We have more charter schools on our East Side. We are bringing the pillar things, the infrastructure, somewhat of a renaissance, but it's not going as fast as we plan.
Why?
I believe because of the economics situation, and sometimes when you apply for certain funding, it takes almost 2 years before the funding really arrives. So there's a delay in your plans, your application, your meeting with the community to have community support. And so I'll give you a good example. I have a couple developments that's in the pipeline. Mm-hmm. But before I can get to a shovel in the ground, there are many other footsteps I must go through to please HCR, FHLB, Federal Home Loan. I have to have community meetings, several of them. I have to get input from the community. I have to make sure that I'm working along with the mayor. Right now, we have a very heated mayor race.
You think?
And so we have to see who will be the mayor of Buffalo. So there's delays, but the project is not denied.
Now, you went through this on Genesee Street. You built some single-family homes right next to your church.
Yes.
And then down the street, you built the multi-story building.
Yes.
Those were a struggle. Has it gotten harder?
Oh, yes. Those was major struggles. But when I look back, every day was worth it. I give you a good example. The most vulnerable in our neighborhood is the senior citizens. We have now the Mount Aaron Manor, which consists of 30 apartments affordable for senior citizens. And adjacent from the senior citizens is the church. And within the church, we have a community room. Total success for Genesee Street. We have at 695 Genesee, the Mount Aaron Village, which consisted of 69 apartments. That's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom with a community room in there. Also with supporting services, best self rents out space. And along with that, we built 17 townhouses on Genesee, brand new homes for affordable housing. And if all goes well, across the street from those townhouses, we'll be building 10 brand new homes for first-time homeowners. We also connect with the charter school Reach, which is down the street. We also have a new delicatessen, a mom and pop store will be opening up. Actually was just approved by the planning board less than 2 months ago, that will give fresh fruit to the neighborhood at a very affordable price. Genesee, in the last 10 years, if you would take a snapshot of before and after, you wouldn't believe it.
And I would, because I've walked through it with you.
That's true.
What you've done on Genesee Street, do you think that the ripple effect will work its way over to Jefferson?
Oh, of course. What I mean by that, in reference to what happened, we're coming up on that. Yeah. The tragedy, it was a terrorist attack that happened in Buffalo, New York, 5/14.
How did you comfort your parishioners during such a tragedy?
To be honest with you,
something that nobody saw coming.
There's no manual for that. The only way that we made it is that we had to show love in the face of hate. That was the only manuscript. Don't do wrong for wrong. We had to show love. And what I mean by that...
But it had to be hard on you because you had the same emotions but ratcheted up as a leader in the community.
Right. The only thing that I could hold on to that kept me somewhat from getting frazzled, angry, frustrated, want to retaliate was my conviction to the Word of God. That's where I found comfort. And I took that comfort in every 7 days when I had to preach my 2 sermons to the membership. I kept preaching hope, faith, and love. Those sermons kept repeating hope, faith, and love. And we prevailed. We prevailed. Not only that, I really want to compliment Buffalo geographical area, not just Buffalo, the whole region. I got so many letters from across the country. I got so many letters from other faith-based leaders that not only sent me a letter, but the next day when I led over 2,000 people in prayer in front of Tops, the day after, M&T Bank president asked me to lead across from, and they have an M&T Bank, and directly across the street you have the Tops. Mm-hmm. He asked me to come down and lead the community in prayer. And let me tell you, Renee Jones asked me. Let me tell you, he's a wonderful man, wonderful bank institution. But the amazing thing about it, when I was leading it, I want to really put emphasis on this. There was not just African Americans.
No, there was everybody.
A sea of multiracial people saying, we will prevail with love, not hate.
Let's get back to bricks and mortar.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. We could talk about this for hours and hours. You've done a lot of work on Genesee Street. Is it, when you're talking to potential investors, mm-hmm. because you're creating more heads and beds, with what you're doing with all the residential, is it an easier sell now than it was 10 years ago?
I tell you the truth of the matter. Every win what I mean by win, every development that's a success gives me momentum. What I mean by that, I'm trying to get I don't want to call the name of the store, but they says we go by numbers. So more infrastructure, more housing development, more residents, they are more in favor of opening up another supermarket, another delicatessen, another infrastructure. By me having, bringing in, I call off the numbers to senior citizen housing, Mount Aaron Manor, that was about 10 million. The Mount Aaron Village that consists of 20 city lots that I combined together. Those 69 apartments, that was with the townhouses along with that, the 17 town, that was $40 million project. The first time homes project would be right under 10. With every win, when I go back and say I want to do something, they are welcome me in the room where that before they was hesitant. So each win is getting me closer to where I need to go.
Is single family homes, first time buyers, that's exactly the demographic that retailers are looking for.
It's a win.
Yeah.
Now look at this win right here. The block by block funding that I'm going after by Senator Ryan, which is already funded.
Mm-hmm.
My company is called Community Hope Builders. We are 501c nonprofit. This is exactly what this bill was written for. It was written for a first-time homeowners able to buy a home on a nice sized lot, 4 to 5 bedrooms. Probably assessed value of this home, to be honest with you, probably right under $300,000. But with the subsidies, they may only pay $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
This will take a vacant lot and put it back on the taxpayer roll. This will give infrastructure to the city. Where that years ago, we had a plan to tear down old dilapidated homes in Buffalo and Western New York, but we didn't have a plan to build new ones.
No, there's 7,000 empty lots.
Right. So now we have to get aggressive, not only build homes, but I want you to really follow me here. We have to make sure that people that buy those homes are investing in staying in the community, investing in keeping the property in top-notch condition, and also will invest back into our community. And that's the kind of people we're looking to put on the east side.
Well, it creates a sense of ownership.
Oh, yeah. Ownership is crucial. Not only that, when you're paying a monthly mortgage, you tend to take care of your property.
Yeah. And I know when you and I walked through the Mount Aaron Village, just a sense of pride, a sense of ownership that was created when we walked through. You had me talk to some of the people. Right. It just seeped right through.
You seen the hope in their eyes.
And happiness too.
Right. The happiness. They was somewhere that was clean, safe, and affordable. Even the color scheme brightened up the neighborhood. Yep. It was a light came on. And that's why I named it the Village. It takes a village to change a neighborhood.
And, rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that project right now is, I have been getting calls all over the country. I do some consulting, and people say, how did you get it done, Pastor? Could you show us? We need that in our neighborhood. I actually, travel and I go to my website. You can see the project. People have contacted me all over and says, could you help us achieve that same project? That project had ripple effects. And I'm actually looking to possibly duplicate that same project in the near future in that geographical area.
I hope you do. It'll give me something else to write about. Seriously, I mean, as I said, the ripple effects of that It's not only fed on Jefferson Avenue, it feeds its way towards William Street, Broadway,
Right.
the whole east side.
And then not only that, I'm looking to try to do something in reference to 514-2 in a development piece, if not on Jefferson, very close to Jefferson. And that will be a beacon for the lives that have been lost but never forgotten. That's my goal. To give a development and name it, give it a name that represents hope, that we didn't let one person, one negative person define us. See, that's where we won at. We didn't let one negative person define the great people in Western New York.
But it was a shock.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was. And you know what? The thing about it, even though we're coming up on the anniversary, it's bittersweet. Because
How so?
the majority of people that it happened to, I knew personally. I shopped there personally. I seen, by me being, my background being law enforcement,
Yep.
I was privileged to go to the scene. I seen things that I'll never forget. And it's bittersweet because I'm still hurting and my people are still hurting. And each day we have to look for hope, renewal, won't let hate define us.
How tough was it to deliver the sermon that Sunday morning? 12 hours, 18 hours after the event.
It was breathtaking. I came to the church, and what I wrote, I didn't preach.
You spoke from the heart?
Spoke from the heart. There was no text that I could find that will define what just happened. We had to let the choir sing. We had to pray. We had to speak from the heart. And we had to cry together. There is no sermon that could have covered the tragedy. And through our hurt, we unified. And that's how we made it through.
Was it almost out of this tragedy a call to action to help?
I think it was several things that happened.
Turn the spotlight on?
Several things that happened, if I can be totally candid.
Sure.
The East Side has been redlined.
Yes, it
The
has.
world got to see the injustice.
It's true.
The world got to see the injustice.
Correct.
The curtain was now opened of how our community have been forgotten and how certain decisions that was made wasn't beneficial to African Americans. You would never put a 33 right through the heart of a community.
No, that was Robert Moses.
Right. And so what happened, the curtain was open to the world. And many people was asking, how could this happen? Why is this happening? Why is this neighborhood is in such red line where our insurance is more than if you lived in Williamsville or lived in Clarence? Why we don't have the proper supermarkets that other communities? The curtain was open.
But you still only have Tops. I mean,
In other words, there's great work that need to be done.
and I know bringing another supermarket is one of your
One of
your high on your wish list.
High on my wish list. High on my wish list. Our community deserve every aspect of what every other community has. It's not that we don't value what we have, but the deck have not been played out fair.
No, it hasn't been.
Let's be candid and be honest with it.
Yeah.
Our insurance is more. Certain banks would invest. Our area was redlined. It was set up to fail.
There's no residential real estate office.
Right. I mean, let's just keep it real.
Yeah. A basic service.
A basic service. We pay taxes just like everybody else. What happened through a tragedy? People got to see the injustice.
Yeah. And now you're going to lose your pharmacy. Right.
And we have so many seniors that's going to affect. We are going through, see, to be honest with you, we have always dealt with injustice, black and brown.
Correct.
But we are resilient. We get back up. We're not going to let our failure define us. And we're going to keep fighting.
It's not really your failure. It was a failure that was thrust upon you.
It was thrust upon us. It was totally biased. But we're not going to let that define us. See, that's where we're resilient at. That's where we have faith at. That's where we say we know that this is not right, but we're going to be an overcomer. And that's what I preach. That's what I teach. And I don't look for somebody to ride in to save my people. I can get up and save my people myself. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
And you have the track record to prove it.
And let me tell you, I'm not done yet.
No, you're not. I won't touch you. I'll ride your case.
I'm not done. There's many more. There's a lot more to come.
No pun intended. But so what's next? No pun intended.
I think I'm shifting. I was full tilt on doing more market rate housing, affordable housing, doing more working with the charter schools for infrastructure. But there's a greater need on Jefferson Avenue. I will still keep the course on doing the affordable housing piece, but I will lend my expertise on trying to do something in collaboration with the many organizations that want to see Jefferson Avenue revitalized. Whatever way that I could help that effort, I'm at the table. I can do two things at one time. I can, what we have coming up now is on Genesee, we're going to do 10 brand new market rate affordable housing. That's one. Mm-hmm. We're going to go and do some more market rate affordable housing. That's number two. Number three, we're doing a financial educational classes to show people how they can use their resources more wisely in their investment and what they purchase and how they purchase. It's not how much you make, but it's what you do with what you do have. Mm-hmm. So that financial literacy class is very important. It's on the top of my list of getting another supermarket in that geographical area. That's my dream. That's have been very elusive to me, mm-hmm. But I keep drumming, keep speaking to the governor, keep speaking to the mayor, keep speaking to the common council. And every 7 days, people come to me and say, I'm not going back in Tops. I need another supermarket. And I respect their wishes.
Is it with more people coming into the Genesee, Jefferson, Spine, mm-hmm. William Street, is it an easier sell? Is it than it was 7-8 years ago when you talk to these retailers to say, look, we have more heads and beds. We're talking not only seniors, but first-time home buyers. There are more people that fit that check off on your boxes.
I you know what? It's a two street here. What I mean by that, they let me in the room now, mm-hmm. and they let me sit at the table now.
That's a step forward.
That's a step forward. And they tell me, Pastor, it's not a black and brown issue. It's a number issue. By me being a businessman, mm-hmm. I asked them to meet me halfway. no one want to have a business that they feel like it's not going to be profitable. But the other hand on it is that a profit is what you make in a whole, not at one store. So now we're talking the same language now. We're at the table now. We're discussing now. We're trying to come to a some type of resolution that it can be a win-win for both.
We have a little bit less than a minute. Give me your, besides the grocery store, your wish list for the East Side, Genesee, Jefferson.
My wish list is that our new Genesee, Jefferson geographical area will be a multiracial area, that we will come together as people to make Buffalo a better place to live. I believe that I have the support. I believe that I have the track record, and I still believe in Buffalo as being a city of good neighbors.
Thank you. This was Pastor Dwayne Jones from Mount Aaron Baptist Church. And as I said earlier, a major East Side voice and leader, respected not only on the East Side, but through all Western New York and the entire region. Thank you. This is What's Next. And thank you again, Pastor Jones, for coming in.
Just thank you for having me. You're my good friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. There's more to come on What's Next. When we return, Ijaz Jaseel sits down with Nnenna Ferguson to break down food apartheid. You're listening to What's Next on Buffalo Toronto Public Media, NPR.
Facts, context, conversation. Your trusted local news source has a new name, but our mission remains the same. BTPM NPR. Explore more at btpm.org or download the BTPM Listen app.
You're listening to What's Next, our place to discuss the important issues of our communities of Western New York and Southern Ontario. We want to hear from you. Click on the Talk to Us option in the BTPM Listen app, and we will work to get your questions or comments on the air. Do you have a story or concern that we should be addressing? Email us using what'snext@btpm.org. Together, we'll have the conversations that are needed. This is Buffalo Toronto Public Media, NPR.
Hello and welcome to another episode of What's Next. I'm your host, Ijaz Jaseel, and today we have a special episode commemorating the 3rd anniversary of May 14th. We're talking all things food justice, and I'm joined today by Nnenna Ferguson, the chair of the Buffalo Food Equity Network Advisory Board. Thank you so much for being here, Nnenna. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So before we get into the topic of food justice, tell us a little more exactly what is the Buffalo Food Equity Network?
The network is an assembly of folks in the food justice space led by Black women. And we are about bringing people together for bringing real change to the food landscape and making sure that that change is led by folks who have strategically been undervalued for countless reasons.
Yes, absolutely. A part of getting at the issue is working with the people who are impacted by it.
Definitely.
So in that spirit, I want to get into what drives the work that you do. I understand that you are a native of Buffalo and you grew up on the East Side. How much of what you saw and experienced then relates to what you see now in terms of the food landscape? Do you see things getting better, worse, or the same?
Thoughtfully, things are not the same, and there is much more that could be happening. But I feel challenged right now to recognize my childhood grocery store. That neighborhood still doesn't have a grocery store once it closed. To this day, it's no longer operable. And I see, and I have been fortunate to meet so many people through the Buffalo Food Equity Network, through my lived experiences, who are taking matters into their own hand, building cooperative-like models, and being the solution to the problems that have been longstanding, even if it's for a small pocket of people, right? They're starting where they are, and they're building things that I feel like my generation and beyond can hopefully stand on.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you hear the term food justice, especially as it relates to the aftermath of the Tops Supermarket Massacre, what comes to your mind? I know that's a broad term, but how do you define food justice?
Got to do some somatic breathing with that one because it is so layered. So in relationship to the shooting that happened on 5/14, just the sheer ability for people to be targeted based on their lack of resources. And that's someone who doesn't know our community, doesn't know anything about what we got going on here. But because of that strategic undervaluing, you can perhaps zero in and target a community of people who have no choice but to shop or their time to the one grocery store that is within reason for many folks on the East Side. It's like justice just kind of starting off feels like, okay, so 3 years later, do we have more grocery stores in that zip code? Just off that surface level, right? If we know, it shouldn't be that we only have one option, one place to shop, one place to go for our resources. And it looks like, yes, there are more places that you can shop at and find food now on the East Side than perhaps you could have 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. People who are building their own markets or food pantries or community gardens. So I think I don't really know what justice looks like because I just find myself turning within. It could be easy to say justice looks like, some strong penalty for the person who came here and totally changed our lives and ended the lives of people. But that's not enough. That has nothing to do with how that young man was able to target our community. Yeah, I think just exploring the conversation even that food is a right and that there are so many inequities associated with it that we must look at it from a justice and solidarity lens is, I think, a great starting point.
Absolutely. Well said. And how much do you think 5/14 actually taught us about food justice? I mean, after the tragedy, we started having these bigger conversations. What is a food desert versus food apartheid? The fact that there was a lobbying to get this grocery store in the first place because there was not one, and that just sort of reiterated the fact of the lack of resources there. Do you think that this is something that we've always been well aware of and unfortunately got a stark reminder of, or do you think there was something new to be learned here from all of this?
I feel like I can hear some elders in my head saying like, oh, this is not new, for some of the things you just said, right? The fight that it took for that store to even exist. The folks who saw the comings and goings of other stores over the course of like the 70s and 80s and early 90s that my generation and beyond don't really have a concept of, didn't get to see. So for all we know, it was a wake-up call. For some people, it was definitely like, okay, you can joke that, oh, you can go to other neighborhoods and there's so many other food options and that's just what they do. But who are they in comparison to us?
Right.
Why should they, whoever that is, have more access, more opportunity, more right to eating good food and being able to access that food, hopefully within walking or biking or driving from your home. So I think it got our people coming together more to listen to folks who maybe have been championing this message for a very long time, that specifically Black and brown people, we should not just be complacent with being consumers in the food supply chain. A lot of times that's our role in any of these supply chains, but it doesn't have to be that way. And certainly with something like food, with something like all you need is a seed and some soil and some time to start your own food supply chain, I think people started coming together more and realizing, okay, this isn't a joke. We really need these co-ops, these community, shares. We need to really think critically about how we make sure that we can take care of our own. And though I think I'm not even speaking to the conversation about just that word targeting, is the only word I can think of like, even with that, just operating from a place of strong will and positivity, despite the fact that someone could have such a sinister idea about you and your people and be able to act on that and really with impunity and no real consequences as of yet.
Mm-hmm. Now, before I get more into a term that I did mention earlier, food desert or food apartheid, which a lot of people feel is the more accurate term, I want to first ask you, because I do hear varying opinions from people who actually lived in or were born or raised on the East Side. There are some who feel that the East Side is indeed a food desert or food apartheid, and there are some who don't. What do you think?
I think apartheid would be the correct word, even in this present moment as we see some emergence and or resurgence of small market, again, cooperative style, community style food supply chains. It's also very telling how there is a disconnect between certain communities who have no real stake in the game in ownership collectively and on a scale, right? And then there are certain communities who seem to have that, I don't know, maybe they got that magical bootstrap they pulled up and all of a sudden, you know, them and theirs have got it together. I'm joking. That's probably a much more deep conversation as well. But it does feel subjugated. It feels like some people don't even understand the value. So then you want to build with your people and you're trying to find like your tribe of folks who see value in investing in food and don't want to just, again, receive what's given, just be a consumer, show up at the store, and what they got is what you buy. But yeah, it's deserted, no, because deserted would imply that, like, as a whole, neighborhoods and people just deserted the idea of accessing food as something good. Mm-hmm. That seems foolish, right? No one decided, yeah, please take the grocery store out of our neighborhood and don't bring another one back, right? I don't think anyone got together and said that. But I will say that we have to come to this awakening that, like, we don't just have to receive what's given. When I say we, I'm talking about myself and Black people who've grown up on the East Side, who built up the East Side, who saw Buffalo come and go in many phases, where there were Black-owned stores and retailers and merchants and people who, you know, just built our communities. I think maybe it can feel that we've deserted some of that mindset previously, and so there's a battle right now of, like, do you want to be more than a consumer? Do you want to just be told what's going to be on the shelf at the store, what the price point is, right? Or do you want to feel empowered to decide what your community has access to?
You mentioned something that I do want to delve more into as well, because as you mentioned, the aftermath of this tragedy has sort of brought a togetherness in terms of, well, let's build community gardens. Let's give to our community refrigerators, grow our own, have our own. But there are still some people who define food desert or food apartheid as the fact of, well, there are no more Tops over here. Wegmans doesn't want to build over here. We don't have those big brand grocers. Are you saying we're not deserving of it? But at the same time, it almost overlooks what we do have, like the Mandela markets and the more independent sorts of things. So when we begin to define food desert by, well, we don't have what, quote unquote, they have, do you think that's a fair assessment?
I think you can assess that there are vast differences of access and resources in different neighborhoods that you know, cross Main Street, right? One side that near Delaware Park and the other side that's not, totally different experience. I moved one zip code this year from North Buffalo to Northeast Buffalo, but really the east side still. And my grocery store access changed. But I think to say, is it fair? Like we're not deserving. I think that's like putting the whole model of food on the basis of capitalism. Like, it is not everyone deserving of good food, period. Right? So the idea that we don't have large scale retailers interested in our communities is because the model for food is capitalistic. So if there's no projection of the Black in the neighborhood with the Blacks, then you're not going to find, you know, people going out their way to invest in what should be seen as a common good, a basic resource. So, you know, now I feel like you're going to take me in my little bit of socialist ideals, because I think that that's the root of it, is thinking that folks need to make a certain income bracket to be deserving of quality access, especially in regards to food. Now, we can make this a nuanced conversation about other industries, but there are certain things that we've been conditioned to think we don't have the right to, that we need to earn our way up to, and being able to eat a meal 2 or 3 times a day, everyone is deserving of that. And that meal should nourish you. It should not put you in the doctor's office 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. And getting into what you said about a certain income bracket, when you have East Side households that are making about $35,000 or less, and you do look at the fact that at the end of the day, the large grocers are businesses and there is a risk assessment. how much can we actually blame them for not wanting to come to areas like the East Side? And is a more community-based approach the way to go when you look at smaller independent grocers and community gardens? Is that what we should be focusing our attentions and efforts on instead?
I think so. I think, not to try to make it totally black and white, but I've just, through my time with the Buffalo Food Equity Network, I was well introduced to the idea that if we could get that cooperative economics model down, especially in something like food, like everybody gotta eat, period, right? No one really can argue with the concept. Now, you might like certain things or you might be allergic to certain things, but we all gotta eat. And that's a common good that we could all pool our resources together and build our own supply chain that one day could be $1 billion cooperative like other cooperatives that we see that haven't also ventured into the East Side. While our dollar resources, the data may say that, it's not comparable to other communities, other neighborhoods. Our people have always known how to make our own supply chains. And it is through the convenience of today's life that we have been able to easily abandon that community, that sense of we need each other. It's not a luxury that just because I can afford to go to Whole Foods and my neighbor is hungry, that's not the model, right? So, and I had to get checked about that when I had my personal garden pots on the front porch or on my front grass. I guess maybe someone thought it was community. And I came home one day and my harvest was gone, clear cut. And I laugh about it now. I cried that day, but I laugh about it now because really, what was wrong with the fact that I labored and someone else ate? I could be mad. I could feel somewhat violated that, you walked up on my lawn and you thought my peppers was your peppers.
Right.
But if I really believe what I'm saying to you right now, then am I really upset? Is that not part of the concept that I'm here for you? And hopefully some way there will be reciprocity in that exchange. I don't know who that person is. Hope they enjoyed their meal, right? And I'm just going to put it out there that it will come back. I think if we started believing that, we could believe in that individual model a bit more. We could see it as the way. And, when you need your specific name brand, whatever, you run over to that store and you go get it. But you can live through working with your people. It's possible.
It is possible. But now when we get into the more or less possible aspects of it, when you consider what a lot of the families and households on the East Side are dealing with in terms of not just accessibility of food, but of time. It'd be lovely if we could have these mass community gardens where everyone could just reap from, but it takes time to plant the seeds and to get the food to grow. And in the meantime, a lot of people are not eating. To make this work, how do we really fill those gaps? How can we make a sustainable, self-made food model while meeting the unique needs of households in the meantime who many have children and not a lot of resources?
That's a really good question. And I've been talking like it's so utopian, so easy. Let's just love each other and work together and we got it, right? And it's much more serious than that. It's going to take strategy. It's going to take our own internal risk assessments, I believe. Who can afford to sacrifice more time now to really literally plant the seeds of what we're going to need later? It isn't going to just happen at once. There's going to be some people who are never going to even get to see the harvest of the things that we got to start building right now. And so, like I was saying, it goes back to a mindset. We have to have the mindset of that there's a scale, like a gradient. Some people are in urgent, dire need. They're not going to be able to show up as sowers yet. So who can? And what do we do to invest in the future? Try to make sure folks will have what they need on the basic level now, and empower folks to recognize that you're not stuck there in that urgent. Perhaps you can be someone who is investing in their community, has something to offer. You can co-op with your friends on, if you all have small children, sharing a day of who's watching, right? I mean, the cooperative model really extends well beyond food, and you kind of have to think about it that way once you start trying to build a food cart. So it's okay, well, who's going to grow the seed? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that, right? it becomes really assessing and committing to just starting where we are and believing that 20, 40 years from now, you know, the conversations that those adults will be having, they'll have a leg to stand on, literally.
I'm Ijaz Jasil, and I'm with Nnenna Ferguson of the Buffalo Food Equity Network. We are talking food justice. And a part of this network that you are in, I understand you work with a lot of organizations that are actually putting forth solutions to some of the problems that we've seen, especially in the aftermath of 514 in the term of food equity and food justice. Who are some of the people or organizations out there who you feel are doing the work that you'd like to highlight?
Oh my gosh. First of all, let me preface and be like, if I forgot you, I'm sorry. I love you. There are so many people doing amazing work or who have been doing work, who are transitioning. Okay. So I can, like, my brain is like on overload. I'm like, oh my God, so many things coming to mind. Urban farmers. I'm thinking about people like Allison Dahoney with Buffalo Go Green. That's an urban farm that just, they're really connected. And I see Allison and her team expanding. There is that new market, I think I named them Truly Rooted. They're like at Fillmore. Produce, again, really straightforward, affordable. I know they are transitioning and closing, but for the last 7 years, Feed Buffalo was a halal food pantry that was run and offering, you know, healthy, organic, halal options free. There are so many organizations, people like Miss Pamela James and her business Life Source System, always doing farmer education and youth education. I want to shout out Open Buffalo. They were at one point fiscally sponsoring our group and Food for the Spirit. And when we were kind of just first getting started and helping pass through funds around the time of 514, I think they were a major player in making sure that resources were distributed in one way or another. The UB Food Lab has been a great ally in doing research and data around urban farming and food access on the East Side specifically. So shout out to Dr. Raja. I'm blanking because I'm so excited because I wish I could name more clearly without stumbling over my words. So again, I apologize for not naming someone who could be listening, being like, oh, but I'm doing, I see you. So many people see you. The Buffalo Food Equity Network is made of many, primarily Black women, but many people, many Black and brown people. We are a network that is prioritizing people of color. I hate that phrase, but I feel like it's like the most easy way to get you to understand what I'm saying. Prioritizing Black people, Black women, our leadership. Again, we don't have to just be consumers, but we can be the leaders and deciders and strategists. So yeah, I pay homage to people like Mother Gail Wells, rest in peace, who people, I say her name and you can think of her in many different realms, but influence on food justice for sure, at least in the time I got to know her and learn under her. Just so grateful that there are many people who have had a long-standing commitment to education, number one, making sure that I could sit here with you and have this conversation and be able to pull within the knowledge that they've planted within me to hopefully speak eloquently about this topic. I want to just thank all of them for that support and that influence.
Yes, and speaking to really what you just said, a lot of these people and organizations have been doing the work before 514. It's not like they're new, so it's great that you've shouted a lot of them out.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing that I want to ask in terms of food justice, when we hear accessibility, we think, how far is it to get to a market from where you live in terms of walking or driving distance? But accessibility, we also have things like costs and like transportation. When we said earlier that the median household income on the East Side is about $35,000 or less, say it wasn't in a food apartheid and we did have all of these markets, what does it mean if people can't afford the food? So I guess my question is, how do we continue to solve the issues of accessibility that go beyond just distance and provision. What can we do as a community in those terms even?
I don't know how many times I've said mindset shift on this conversation, but I'm thinking about certain like workshops I've sat in, and folks are dialoguing and strategizing about like, what are solutions? How do we provide food? What if they don't have like access to a stove and they can't cook it, or they don't know, they're not familiar? Like, I mean, regardless to that income, it's likely that someone in that home has a smartphone, is on social media, can find a little TikTok salad recipe. And if you shift your mindset that every meal doesn't have to be gluttonous and, or packaged, that you can cut something, chop something, put it in a bowl and nourish your body. Maybe it's not your favorite thing. Maybe you don't feel the same way, the way your other thing that you love to eat, it don't hit the same, but it's not supposed to. So that's number one. In fact, shifting your mindset will then push you to shift your actions. And it's not going to look and feel the same as other actions, like popping in something in the microwave that is also quick. But these days, nothing is cheap. The frozen meal is just as expensive as a box of produce and cooking it yourself. So it really is about your mindset, about like, what do you want? Do you want to keep giving your body garbage because you claim you have no time, you have no way to invest, you have no information about creative meal prep or recipes? I think we just have to be self-aware. We have to check ourselves. Like, what am I not doing because of what I am doing? So are you not choosing to eat differently, shop differently because of where you're comfortable shopping, what you're used to doing, the routine that you're used to have? Again, I don't know everyone's circumstances. I don't claim to make it seem like, the person with multiple children and multiple jobs don't have a hard time figuring out the best way to care for themselves. I'm sure. And there's like bag salads you can grab. You can take it on your lunch break. Right. It's possible, There's, or like when my son was little, I still to this day try to entice him with vegetables, being like, it's crunchy, because that's all he would eat when he was younger. He didn't want no leaf. He didn't want nothing soggy or overcooked. But if I could get him some crunchy veggies, he was hooked, So it's like mindset. Like, he liked the crunch, so I prioritized carrots and things that he would go for, right? Just taking a step in the right direction, recognizing that you do not have to accept all the circumstances that we have been given, certainly around food.
Mindset. I think that's the starting point for justice in general, and especially food justice, and you've emphasized that a lot today. Thank you so much, Nnenna. Can you tell everyone where and how to find out more about the Buffalo Food Equity Network?
So you can find out about the Buffalo Food Equity Network and many other folks in the food space. I believe we have a webpage. We're actually a program within the Food for the Spirit organization. So foodforthespirit.org/Buffalo Food Equity Network, BFEN. Ooh, don't quote. I should have probably looked at that before I came here. But we have our own page and membership form on the foodforthespirit.org website. You can also connect with me. I have a small herbal business, again, in the spirit of making sure our people can access healthy options and feel like they can talk to someone that they trust about making shifts within their home. So I run a business called Brew Apothecary. That's BRUAPOTHECARY. And I make things that are family friendly, elderberry syrup, homemade teas, trying to be a resource for folks who are looking at food as medicine. And ways that, once you start that mindset shift, you're at the store and now maybe you want to explore, some sage tea or something like that, right? And there are many folks within the network who have their own org and business. So definitely check out Buffalo Food Equity Network and Food for the Spirit and all the cool things that they have going on as well.
Wonderful. And to confirm, you can go to foodforthespirit.org/Buffalo-Food-Equity-Network. Nnenna Ferguson, thank you again so much for joining me in this conversation about food justice. I appreciate you and all of your insight and the work that you do.
Thank you. Yes, it was such a pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed talking with you, Jazz.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening to this episode of What's Next. We will see you next time right here on Buffalo Toronto Public Media NPR.
Support for WBFO and What's Next comes from our members and from Health Foundation for Western and Central New York, where racial and socioeconomic health equity are prioritized. Learn more about building healthier neighborhoods at hfwcny.org.